For today's review, we are looking at the fourth and final figure in the Plastic Man build wave, and that of course is John Stewart Green Lantern. Now before I dive into talking about the accessories and of course the figure, as usual, let's take a quick look at the data profile card that is included. And as you can see, there is this beautiful comic book artwork of two of my favorite Green Lanterns in a very rough situation. And personally, I've never seen this artwork before until this figure came out last year in this build wave. And if you know where this artwork originated from, feel free to share in the comments below if you want to. It's definitely not from JLA as it's listed down here. I don't think so. His real name is John Stewart, and it reads, John Stewart is the go-to leader of the Green Lantern Corps, a natural leader with a tactical, military-trained mind. John has also been a frequent member of the Justice League, and can step up to command the League when needed or take orders when a mission doesn't fall under his realm of expertise. A longtime Green Lantern, John has felt the weight of making mistakes in this dangerous field, and he's sworn not to repeat them at any cost. And that is a pretty good read-up on who John Stewart is as a character. And now, let's talk about the accessories that are included with this figure. And in terms of the accessories for the Green Lantern figure, it only comes with two effect parts, which sadly are reused parts that we've seen from one other figure that came out before this one. And that, of course, is the Arkham Knight Red Hood figure. These are the same effect pieces, just repainted in the green color. And honestly, this punch effect, which was what it was for Red Hood, actually works for the Green Lantern figure here because it could work as a punch effect, or in this case, maybe he's charging up a large amount of energy to fire a big blast of, willpower. You could say that this could probably be for that, right? However you want to imagine this effect part as. As for the kicking effect, this is also pretty cool because say that he's like in a situation where he's fighting in space or just fighting in the air as he's flying, right? Most of the time when they fly, they have like this sort of green sort of light that's like around them that surrounds their entire body. So you can say that this is from that sort of green energy when he's moving really fast or doing a upper kick of some kind, whatever you want to use this for. So that's pretty cool. They do work for this figure, but I would have preferred if there was a few more effect parts in this box, because one of the problems that I've had with this particular build wave when it came out last year, when I was able to get all these figures, was the fact that they didn't come with much in terms of accessories, right? Like the last figure that we looked at in this same wave, such as Aquaman right here, came with no accessories at all. So this is just not a good thing, right? In this case, they could have given him maybe a sword or something, right? Like what they did before. Some interchangeable hands. I don't know. A lot of things. So, in terms of the build pieces, though, he does come with the final two pieces that you need for the Plastic Man build figure. And that, of course, are his legs, as you can see right here. So, there's that. And that is pretty much all that's in this box, which is not a whole lot at all. And I don't usually count the figure stand that is included because every single DC Multiverse figure comes with that. So, alright, let's talk about the figure and its aesthetics. And this particular body buck is, of course, a reuse of the same body buck that was introduced with the Kyle Rayner figure in the Blackest Night build wave a long time ago. And there is this one question that I want to ask you guys. Do you like this body buck for the Green Lantern figures? Like, going with this sort of look? Or do you prefer the original take on the Green Lantern figures when Mcfarlane made this version of John Stewart before? Because in this case, I like the original one because the costume was more detailed in terms of the sculpt, and it looked more like armor than fabric, as you can see with this one. And honestly, it would have been cool to just have like a team of Green Lantern characters with this body buck in particular, with this sort of sculpt, because I don't know, this one just stands out to me more. And also, like, the emblem right there is also like three-dimensional instead of like printed on. So, I just want to know like which one you prefer in this case. But it seems like McFarlane, went with this one, and we've gotten a few figures already in the past that can match up with this one in terms of the uniform. So, they made their choice there, but personally for me, it would have been cool to see more characters rocking this sort of look with this sort of sculpt for the uniforms. So, all right, there's that. And yeah, when it comes to the aesthetics of this figure, we've seen this body buck before. There's a lot of textures that are present from, head to toe. And, it's not a bad body buck for a Green Lantern, but we've seen this before. So there's not really a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the uniform. And in this case, when it comes to the Platinum Chase version, I think the only differences between this regular one and the Platinum one is mainly just the emblem. I don't know what else is different, but I know for a fact the emblem is different. That's it. Everything else I think is the same colors, so not really that much of a difference, I guess. And the only thing that stands out on this figure is mainly his head sculpt, because I'm going to bring the other one back in. I like the head sculpt on this version because it's different. It's interesting. And I also like the one from before too, because the one in the past, I like the way that this one came out as well. So in terms of how they've sculpted John Stewart's head sculpt, as I'm trying to say his name, yeah, they did a pretty good job here with both of these figures. I think the head sculpts here are just beautiful. So I like that. I have never, swapped the heads before. Maybe this could probably work on this body buck. I'm not too sure. But since I do have like a spare version of this John Stewart figure, because, as I said in a few videos ago, maybe, or no, I think it was the Batman video. I'm trying to remember now. This version was from the Endless Winter build wave, and I have the original one that was released as a solo figure that had a different color glove for his hand. So since I have like 3 versions of this John Stewart figure, because as you can see right here, I also have that glow-in-the-dark version, I could probably take one of the head sculpts from one of these versions of the figures and probably, see if it works on this particular body buck. Because since I do have the collector edition Green Lantern figure, as you can see right here, let me just bring it in. They have that green neck joint, so, you don't have to worry about anything. So I might test that. I haven't done it before, but if it works, hey, you could probably have a different version of the John Stewart head sculpt on this body buck. So, all right. With that said, that's pretty much about it when it comes to aesthetics, because, there's nothing else that's unique about this body buck outside of just that beautiful head sculpt. So let's get into the articulation really quickly, and then we'll do some comparisons, because there are a lot of stuff to compare. So for the articulation on this figure, if you have never seen it before, he can look up because, he is a Green Lantern. He can fly, so he should be able to look up, and that's not too bad. He can also look down pretty good as well, so there's that. He can turn his head side to side. He can tilt his head side to side, which is pretty good. So in terms of the articulation in the head sculpt, not bad. In terms of his arms, they can go out that far. They can swing back and forth. There is double jointed in the arms. There is a swivel up here by the bicep. As you can see, it does move. He does have swivel in the hands. He does have articulation in the wrists and swivel in the wrist joint. So there is that whole thing. He does have articulation in the upper torso. It can rotate, but it is tight. I've never heated up this figure, so Maybe if I heat it up, it might loosen the stiffness up here. But if it is set this way, where it is supposed to be tight, well, in this case, you might have to do some modifications where you have to take the figure apart and maybe do some, changes to it. So, but it does move, as you can see right there. You can lean forward, not the best, as you can see, it barely even moves. Leaning back doesn't even move at all with the upper torso, so that kind of sucks. In terms of the waist, you do get that, swivel down here. Leaning forward is also not great. Leaning back, well, that's better than leaning forward. So, in terms of his legs, not exactly a full split, because this piece up here, even though it's soft, it still hinders the articulation of spreading his legs out. In terms of kicking forward, also not good either. I don't know why, but for some reason, this one cannot kick high enough. Even though this is like a softer piece, it still somehow hinders his legs from kicking out. And you want to talk about a Green Lantern figure that can kick his legs out really freaking good. Well, this is why I like the original Body Buck more, because look at this. That's a full-on almost upper kick right there, right? Like, I don't know what happened to this engineering with the legs, because I know it doesn't look right from some angles when he does kick out this high, but depending on how you utilize it, I mean, come on. That's just a better kick than what this one can do. So, he does have double jointed, of course, as well. He also has articulation in the feet, and of course, the swivel here, and toe articulation. In terms of the upper thigh swivels, they do move on this leg, and they don't move on this leg. So, yeah, you might have to do some modifications there. And that is pretty much all the articulation on this figure. And I'm going to show what this effect piece looks like in his hand really quick. All you just do is you just like put it in like this. And then I think that's how you get it in. I haven't done this in a long time. There we go. So yeah, it looks like something like this. Which isn't bad. Again, I think this one works. I like this. So, but again, it would have been cool to see more effect parts than just, the two that were given to this figure. Okay, now it's time for some comparisons. And we have a list of figures to compare him to. So, let's start, of course, with his wave mates. So, of course, here he is next to the blue Superman figure. And again, this Superman just doesn't really fit in well with some of these other comic book characters in my shelf, because he's a very different Superman. So I don't know where to put him in my shelf except for like my Superman shelf, right? So when it comes to other characters, yeah, it just doesn't really look right next to them. You got the Superman. Here he is next to, of course, Batman. And yeah, he can work with this Batman figure. It's not too bad. So there's that. And here he is next to Aquaman. And again, these two figures do go well together. So it seems like only 3 of the figures in this build wave actually pair well with this John Stewart. You have the Batman, you have the Aquaman, and of course the build figure, right? Which I will show in the next video when we talk about the build figure. And now, let's have him next to, of course, the original John Stewart. Well, this is the Endless Winter version, but it is the same exact figure as the original one, right, in terms of sculpt. And look at that. Look at the differences. And it's not too bad. And honestly, I like both of them. I like both of these John Stewart figures. But for my shelf, I guess, depending on like which one that goes on my Justice League team, I still will pick this one over that one, because there's just something about this one that just looks better to me for some reason. But like I said, I like both. It's just preferences here. So there he is next to that one. Here he is next to the glow-in-the-dark version for fun. So, yeah, I do have some of those repaints. And the glow-in-the-dark versions for the Green Lantern figures that they did make, I think it was only 2 of them, they're pretty cool. I like that. I like the whole glow-in-the-dark for the Green Lanterns because it works. And here he is next to the, the Walmart gold label Hal Jordan figure that came out last year that I haven't done a video on. I have this figure. I've gotten it for a while now, and I haven't even made a review on this one. But, yeah, it also looks like it can work with this Hal Jordan, I guess, depending on how you want to display these two together. But personally, this Hal Jordan, he just stands out way too much with the way his face sculpt is done. So, it doesn't really feel like they come from the same source material. Now, in my opinion, the Hal Jordan that can fit better with this John Stewart is, of course, the Silver Age version, right? That is a pairing right there. So, in this case, I actually like this Silver Age version with this John Stewart because, it looks like they did walk out of the same comic book more than, if you were to have the Hal Jordan from this version be with this John Stewart, right? So, okay, there's that. And then here he is next to Abin Sur, which is a character that I don't think he's ever interacted with because we all know that Abin Sur, sacrificed his life to escape with knowing some sort of knowledge and then passing his ring to Hal Jordan. So I don't think these two characters have ever interacted before, as I'm trying to speak. So there's that. And of course, I'm pretty sure John Stewart has interacted with this character for sure because, we sometimes see them together. You got him next to Tomar. So, yeah, pretty cool. So there's Tomar. And of course, here is the other Green Lantern of Earth. We got Kyle Rayner. So also pretty good right here of a pairing, which I really like. And last and not least, we have Kilowog. I like this. And of course the figure falls over as I'm trying to put Kilowog on the table. Okay, please don't fall over. Oh no. Alright, come on. Stand. There we go. Now that is beautiful. And if you remember, there was this episode, I believe, in Justice League where John goes on a mission to help his Green Lantern friends. And of course, Kilowog was the one that came to tell him about some sort of incident. So, yeah, these two characters definitely go together really well. And that is pretty much going to be all the comparisons for this review. A lot of characters, as you can see right here. And yeah, this version of John Stewart is a pretty cool figure. I like it. It works with the Green Lantern shelf. But in the end of the day, since there were 2 versions of this character that we have gotten in figure form, in total here, as you can see, this one and of course the old one, well, I leave it to you to be the judge of which figure you want in your Justice League shelf or as your main John Stewart Green Lantern. If you found today's review enjoyable, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care and I will see you in the next video.